Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on October 26, 2023. We're getting pretty close to Halloween, so today we are going to look at something really special. I don't usually unbox stuff on this channel because it's tedious and my camera work is not very good, and I just find that to be more of a chore than anything to pause the camera and adjust the angle constantly and all that stuff. But today we are going to unbox this very special Halloween figure, um, just as our tribute to this year's Halloween special. This is the Mask of the Red Death. Yeah, I know a lot of people never heard of it. When I first heard of it, it was The Mask of the Who. Well, this is actually a classic. This one is from the Four Horsemen Studio, made by the Four Horsemen Studio, in fact. And it's a character that's inspired by an Edgar Allan Poe story, Mask of the Red Death, published in 1842. Yeah, it's a really old story. You can actually read the story on the cover. This figure does come with a story. And by the way, before I forget, if you want this figure after looking at this video, you can get it here in Canada. The link I will leave in the description of the video. But yeah, our sponsor, Hidden Corner Finds, have been selling this figure. And so, if you like this figure or other action figures that I have reviewed or done post of, you can look there on Hidden Corner Fund. And they have a lot of good stuff. They don't just sell action figures. They have stuff like retro antiques and mugs and magazines and soapstone sculptures and all kind of goodies. But if you want your very own Mask of the Red Death, and to be sure to get your hand on Four Horsemen action figures here in Canada is really quite difficult. Hidden Corner Fine got you covered. Just saying. Now, I'm going to confess that I'm not a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, gasp of dismay. I know. People say that. People do that. When I say I'm not a big fan of J.R.R. Tolkien as well. Um, I know. Shocking, right? Like I love fantasy, but I don't care much for J.R.R. Tolkien, and I love horror, but I'm not a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. I think like from a literary standpoint, they are great authors. Don't get me wrong; they have been great pioneers and forerunners uh, of the horror and fantasy genre. Uh, and there's nothing that I will say that I will not say anything to say that they are bad authors. But just strictly speaking, for my personal taste, Edgar Allan Poe, his stories are neither scary or all that exciting to read. Like, obviously, because it's written back in like 1840s, so it was written in that very archaic, droning, slow flowing um, style. Where, yeah, if you think of it as like poetry or something like that, then it's cool for reading. But if you want to read horror story, that is not really like horror story. It will not be all that scary. I mean, I'm not going to bore you guys with the entire story of the Mask of the Red Death. I'm just going to summarize it for you. Yeah, spoiler alert. I know. I mean, the story's been out for like 183 years, but we still have to give spoiler alert. Uh, there was a plague. It's called the Red Death. People bleed from their pores and die within half an hour of contracting the plague, and it's decimating the population of this kingdom. And the prince of this kingdom decided to quarantine. Well, yeah, I mean, that's basically what he decided to do. He got 1,000 of his best friends together, and they went and quarantined themselves in this castle and having parties all day and orgies and God knows what else. Yeah, okay, the original story didn't say orgy, but you can just like use your imagination. Like 1,000 people hiding out in this castle, no one's allowed in, no one's allowed out. What are they going to be doing? Yeah. Uh, so anyway, so this prince decided to just say the hell with the populace, and he totally ditched his civilians and took his favorite people, and they went and hid out in this castle and had parties all day. And then suddenly there's this weird-looking figure that appeared in the party, and then the prince was offended by this figure, so the prince chased this figure to this empty room, and then this figure turned around, and the prince looked at the figure in question, and then dropped dead. And then the follower of the prince were so angry that they mobbed the figure and took off his mask, and there's nothing underneath, and he just vanished, like uh, Obi Kenobi style, Obi-Wan Kenobi style. Uh, like, I'm one of the Force, whatever. So, and that was basically the end of the story. So, like I said, like I'm sure back in 1842, that was kind of a scary thing, and people would find this kind of like the heart racing and make the hair on back of your neck standing up. But going by today's standard, come on, guys, like, yeah, yeah, this is why I'm not a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe, because when I read horror stories, I want horror stories. I want to be scared. I don't want to read a beautiful piece of literature that written almost 200 years ago and like really dry and really in some parts hard to understand. And you just kind of fall asleep after a while. Anyway, that's my little rant. Let's open the figure. Now, like a lot of the Four Horsemen figure from this particular line, the Figura Obscura line, uh, you have to pre-order this. I mean, they might re-release this guy about like a year down the road, but it's not going to be the same, and it's going to be cost you like an arm and a leg to buy it from the online stores. This guy wasn't cheap, right? Okay, like if you were lucky enough to even have gotten there, because the pre-order windows were really kind of small. Once you miss it, you miss it. But if you were lucky enough to get there, the figure was like $60, like $60. Usually you can get like a deluxe size figure with that. But okay, it's like kind of a rare figure, so let's say it's okay. $60, and after shipping, it's like almost $90. It's not cheap. This is a not exactly high end, but definitely kind of nudging into the high end category. So when you first get this, it does feel kind of high end. It feel kind of heavy. I mean, it's not a really big box, but like one of those NECA action figure boxes, I guess. And it is wrapped in what's this, cellophane or whatever this material, like a saran wrap, whatever. Who cares? I don't care. I'm going to open my figure and enjoy it. So I guess for collectors this is good because this material will kind of protect the box that your figure come in. We're going to make an incision with a knife around the top. Put the knife down. Okay, we're going to take this and cut from the side like this. Yeah, I'm standing behind the camera, cutting, reaching over the top. This is kind of awkward. This is why I don't like to do unboxing videos. Some people will say, well, why don't you just stand in front of the camera? Because I don't want to. That's why. Okay, so now we have this box out of the wrapping. like that. Okay, now let me put this away. Um, so like most of the previous Figura Obscura exclusive or deluxe or whatever you want to call these special figures, this is in like a book style package. So the front flap can open like this. I don't know if there's any like cool graphic or whatever that's inside. Oh, this is the front. Okay, so the front open. So basically, this whole uh, wrapping, this like kind of thing that wraps around the box, and it's magnetic. Actually, I like that part. So when you close this, it does feel really kind of high end. So when we take this out, let me spread this out. Maybe there's something to look at there. Usually they have really cool, uh, like artwork or something there. So uh, hopefully you guys are getting something cool to look at. Now I have heard that uh, the graphics this time is not really good for using as backdrop for action figures, so that's a bit of a shame. I was hoping to have that a nice diorama piece, but oh well. We do have a really cool diorama in the background. This is from the my Dungeons and Dragons set. Hopefully you guys can see it. Yeah. No, Mask of the Red Death. Okay, now we have the box. You can see everything inside. This is where you have an advantage over me because you can see through the plastic while I still don't know what I'm dealing with. So, take a close look at the front of the box, at the side of the box, at the back, and we'll be right back as I take this carefully out of the box. Now, a lot of people might say, well, okay, if you don't care for Edgar Allan Poe and you didn't even know this character, why did you spend that much money for it? Well, partly it's because it's Four Horsemen. Like honestly, I am such a fanboy when it comes to Four Horsemen Studio. Been pre-ordering their stuff for a long time. I'm a big collector of the Mythic Legion line. Uh, I love fantasy stuff. So honestly, when I first heard that this pre-order was going to be the Mask of the Red Death and Edgar Allan Poe, I fully intended to skip it. I was thinking, okay, well, I guess some people will like that, but no, it's not for me. I don't really like the story. I don't. But then I looked at a few quick early reviews, and it's got a pretty much brand new body mode and very premium soft good robe. And I mean, honestly, even if you're not into the story like me, um, this makes a really good undead wizard, undead sorcerer, or even like a like a monstrous like necromancer kind of guy on your fantasy shelf. So that's basically what I'm getting him for because he fills that role. I don't really care about the character or the story, but it's just a cool action figure. And sometimes uh, I think getting an action figure just because it's a cool action figure, that's good enough. Now, unlike other reviews, I actually want to start with the accessory this time because this is a cool accessory that the Mask of the Red Death comes with. And this piece of accessory, I mean, you can't even really call it an accessory. It's more like a backdrop, background piece. And I know a lot of people actually bought him just for this. I mean, how can you not? This is like cool. Like, uh, this is a grandfather clock. in scale with your 6, 7 inch action figure. This thing is almost like a foot tall, probably 13 inches, and the detail on this is amazing. The front can even open, and you can see all the gears inside, and the hand of the clock is pointed at midnight. This is really cool. I imagine you can even maybe like store some of the accessories inside. I mean, he doesn't really come with a lot of accessories. So now this clock does require a little bit of assembly. Like I already shown, the door comes off. The raven, of course, there's going to be a raven on the top. That's Edgar Allan Poe, after all. The raven actually comes off as well. It came separate in the package, and then uh, the clock come off the base like that, and then the base itself comes apart. Uh, so yeah, like this thing is actually hollow inside, so you can actually store things in there too. That's pretty cool. And then we get the foot piece of the grandfather clock. These feet actually kind of feel, this clock feet kind of feel a little bit creepy. Like, are they supposed to be like this? Um, and then last but not least, almost the entire accessory on its own, we have a large pool of blood like this. Okay, this thing is really cool. I can see people using this for their like Predator or Punisher photography, like just giant puddle of blood on the floor, right? And there's 4 pegs on here that you can peg your action figure to or uh, your clock. So now you guys see me disassemble, taking apart the clock, and let's put it back together. So we'll put foot the base, the foot part, onto the puddle of blood, and then we'll take the seat of the clock, and this just stick on there, like that. There's a little, like a face there. Yeah, that's really cool. And then we take the body of the clock, the big part, and put it on the seat part. And then now we take the door, stick the door on there. Do I have it backward? I think I might have it backward. No. Uh, oh, I turned it around. Okay, there we go. I did have it backward. Okay, now you have the whole. Oh, we forgot the raven. Raven, where's the raven? Okay, now we got the raven. Just stick that. Everything pegs together very easily, so nothing super complicated. It's a little bit like building a cool Lego set actually. So yeah, as you can see, it's the clock itself, once all assembled, pretty sizable piece of backdrop. This is really nice. Like I said, a lot of people actually bought this action figure for this clock, and I'm pretty sure some people will be selling off the figure and keeping the clock, or vice versa. I'm going to turn the clock around so you guys can see it from behind. I don't know if that's worthwhile looking at. Uh, in case you didn't know the significance of the clock in the story, in this castle where the prince and his followers were quarantined themselves in, they have like 6 rooms, 6 party rooms. Every room is like a different color, a different theme, and these people really enjoy themselves, like in the blue room, in the orange room, or whatever. But the last room, no one want to go in there. The last room is like this black room with red coloration, red accents. look like the color of death, I guess, and that was really disturbing to people. And in this room, there was this giant uh, grandfather clock, and that would chime every hour. And every hour when the clock chimed, the party would stop and the music would stop, and everyone would hold their breath until the clock stopped chiming, and then the party would resume. And then around when the clock chimed at midnight, that's when they noticed the uh, creepy hooded figure among them, the stranger. Speaking of the creepy hooded figure, let's bring him up. And here he is, or it is, the Mask of the Red Death. Definitely a creepy figure and very, very premium feeling. He's almost 7 inches tall, and just as described in the story, he is a tall, gaunt figure in the shroud of the dead. Um, so this is a very complex set of robes he's wearing. This is like a two-tone red color. His skin is mostly black, like a matte black. You can see on his arm here, he's like desiccated, really creepy, creepy feeling. Oh, like the texture on this thing is really creepy. The rope is really soft, really premium feeling. This it doesn't feel cheap. And the texture on the arm is like so scaly and shrunken, like weathered. Yeah, really creepy. His left hand is normal, like a decaying, like blackened color. His right hand is red. I guess that means it's like the right hand is like covered in blood or something. I don't know. And his hands are like posed in this clawing gesture. He comes with several different sets of hands too. Like I think altogether there's uh, 4 pairs of hands this guy come with. So you definitely got your hand choices. And the robe and the hood, these all have like wires inside. So like even the shawl here, like all these things is pretty poseable. Like the robe, you can pose it, so it's like sort of gusting open in the wind. Uh, Wires feel kind of limp though. Like this is not very strong wire. That I will say. I'm more used to action figure garments that have stronger or stiffer wires, but this robe coming quite a few layers. See, the with the wire you can actually have it billowing out to the side like this. So yeah, it's really cool. And then there's an underrobe like under this whole piece as well. Now I have been told that you can actually remove the robe from and see the figure underneath. I'm not sure if I'm going to attempt that because this is a uh, seemed like quite a job to do. Uh, but oh well, for the sake of the review, I guess I'll give that a try. So give me 1 second, I'll be back. I'm going to go strip this guy naked. Well, that was quite a job, and but I was able to get the rope off. I hope I'll be able to get it back on. Now, for those of you who want to try this, you need to hit the shoulder joints up with the hair dryer. You need to heat it up with the hair dryer, and then pop off the head, pop off the arms, and then you can slide the whole robe over the torso. Don't force it. Yeah, because there's a lot of stitchings and those layers of ropes, and you really wouldn't want to tear anything. So be patient, heat everything up, and then pop the arms and head off, and then now you can see what's underneath. And what's underneath is this ghoulish zombie-like body. I mean, look at this. It's kind of we have never seen this body before in the Four Horsemen action figure. So this is really cool, like a almost fully naked zombie body. It's a oh, this hand actually pop off very easily. The head actually come off very easily too. When I mean, I guess that's a good thing. And you can see all the skeletal detail, the rib cage, the spine. I mean, he still has kind of a loincloth on, so at least he's preserving his modesty. And his toenail and his hand and his fingernail are like a glossy paint to accentuate them. And he's got this mask, like a stylized skull mask on. I'm going to show the head underneath the skull, underneath the mask, near the end of the video. This is just a really cool body sculpt that we have never seen before. I'm sure we're going to see more of this in the upcoming Mythic Legion wave because we got a lot of ghouls and zombies coming up pretty soon. But for now, this is a brand new body. So again, if you want to get this into your customizing library or whatever, or if you want that really cool grandfather clock, hit up the link in the video description. The stock is limited, but you can still get it. Last I checked, you can still get it. Now, articulation is nothing really new. With most of the articulation we've come to expect from Four Horsemen Studio, the shoulders, neck, bicep, wrist, uh, hips, knees, ankles, things that you need to move, they usually move. But because this body is so desiccated and scrawny, it actually has a better range of motion than a lot of like the knights in armor. Like, look at that elbow pose. Like, how much he can bend his arm. Uh, the body is there's like a ball joint, I guess, at the waist. Um, Wish we have chest joint. You would think after all these years, Four Horsemen would learn to make a mid torso joint, but yeah. Um, like I said, nothing very special about the articulations, but it's what we are pretty used to when it comes to Four Horsemen action figures. The head has an amazing range of motion because, again, there's no hair, no helmet, so you see how far back this can tilt, and yeah, it's really creepy kind of head movement you can get out of this guy. And I thought that taking the ropes off would be the difficult part. Getting them back on was a pain in my butt. So yeah, probably not going to take them off again. Finally get them back on, and I'm not even sure if I got them back on properly. They seem a bit rumpled. Um, there's three layers of materials, and it's a little bit fiddly because they don't detach from each other. They're kind of stitched together, but they are not stitched together very firmly. So you have to be very careful as you're pulling and tugging, trying to get things to go in the right place. So yeah, just fair warning. If you want to take the rope off, it's going to be a bit of a uh, tedious thing to do, especially if you don't have very good dexterity with your fingers. And yeah, again, don't force anything because these things are not stitched together super uh, durable like. So like that hood part is only held on by a tiny stitching over the right shoulder. So if you pull too hard, that's going to come off. So be careful, don't break your figure, especially it's an expensive figure. Now, I already talked about he comes with a whole lot of hands, and I'm not going to go through the tedious procedure of just like, putting every hand on them because most of them look similar, just like clawing, gesturing hands. Yeah, I got all the hands in my palm here. So you got like gripping hand, clawing hand, open hand, eight hands altogether, four pairs of hands. Kind of repetitive actually. And the right hands are all red, left hands are all black. So at least that's cool. Um, so why does he have gripping hand? Because there is a little weapon that comes with him, even though in the story that's not his weapon. In the story, that's the weapon the prince used to threaten him with. But since I just want this guy to be like my evil undead wizard on the shelf, it's okay. I can give him the dagger that he comes with. Luckily, all those extra hands store just fine inside the grandfather clock's base, and you don't even need this pool of blood for the grandfather clock to stand on. The pool of blood can actually be a nice base for other action figures as well. So it's almost like you get like two giant pieces of accessory, the clock and the blood pool, and then you have the whole bunch of hands and the dagger. And I guess you can count the robes because you can take them off. So that I guess that counts as accessory. And that's not all of it. There's one more because the mask of the Red Dev's mask actually come off. And we are going to take a look at what's behind the mask right now. Welcome to the Masked Singer. Who is behind the mask of the Red Death? Take it off. And here we go. It's a really soft, rubbery mask. So you can, and it's held on by two pegs on the side of the head. And just peel this off. And, ooh, that is creepy, right? What's behind the mask is like a hollow out skull, like a skull with its face bashed in. There's a like really creepy texture inside the skull. So yeah, the mask literally was the face for the real skull underneath. This is some creepy stuff. Now, let me put this mask back on because it's a little disturbing. Mm, I mean, he's pretty disturbing even with the mask on. But with the mask off, it's like that big gaping void in front of the skull. That's yeah, it's just creepy. Um, why isn't this going back on properly? Ah, there we go. Yeah, uh, the mask is really squishy, like soft rubber. So, uh, getting it on, sometimes you need to mess around and try to make sure the pegs go into the holes they're meant to. Now, we are going to do some size comparison. This is, like I said, almost 7 inch, very standard uh, four horseman body. Here we have Captain America, our go-to for size comparison. And yeah, they're very close in size. I mean, Captain America obviously bulkier, muscular, but generally speaking, they are very, very close in about the same height and about the same size. And for something a little bit unconventional, we have the Chrome. by McFarlane, very retro toy, standing beside the, uh, the Mask of the Red Death. And this is probably the group that I would display him in. It's like all these like creepy robed figures, like necromancer kind of guy on the shelf. Uh, I think that they actually look pretty interesting together, like they belong in the same group. So that's it, folks. Thank you for being here and checking out the Mask of the Red Death. Don't forget, if you like this figure and you're in Canada and you want to find it, check out the link in the video description. Hopefully, you will be able to get one for yourself. I'll be back again tomorrow for some Fitness Friday with Johnny Tiger.